Hi there, I'm Katie Cat, and this is our weekly AstroTarot starting for February 3rd, 2024. There's some big shifts in energies, which you've probably heard about by way of Pluto moving into Aquarius. When we think of these energies being combined, Pluto is a planet of transformation. It has a really long orbit. It takes roughly 248 years to go around the whole zodiac system. And so when it's in a sign for a very long length of time. We've been seeing Pluto kind of ebb and flow over this precipice of Aquarius and Capricorn for the last year or so. It actually just went into Aquarius. It's at 0 degrees. It went there on January 20th, and I believe it'll be there up until September. And then in November, it's going to move into Aquarius full time, and it will be there until 2043, which basically means we have this transformative energy sitting in the house of wherever you have Aquarius in your chart. Now, there's 12 houses in your natal chart. Each one of those houses represents a different area of your life. And so having Pluto move into this space of Aquarius is bringing transformation to that area of your life for the last 20 years. In a lot of ways, it's asking us to level up. Now, when we look at the energy of Pluto and what transformation is, transformation has been coined as a pretty popular word recently, but it's a really powerful alchemy of our spirit. When we look at the acorn and how it transforms into the oak tree, it can't go back to being an acorn. When we look at the caterpillar and how it transforms into a butterfly, it can't go back into the process of being a caterpillar. So this is a big shift in our lives, which is really asking us to look at our long-term goals, because that's what Aquarius is, representing in our lives overall, the long-range dream, the long-range goals, and giving us a sense of detachment around what isn't working and what isn't in alignment with that. And Pluto is coming in and is, going to be bringing that shift to place. Now we'll get this taste for the next few months, and then we'll be moving full force into it for the next 20 years come November. Now, looking at our cards for this week, we have an opening card of the Two of Wands. This is a fiery energy that is in the realm of element of, or in the numerological energetic of 2, which means that there is some reflection going on around where we place our will. There's something that is tying up our will into some situation that we still need to take care of, because we still see that there's this wand that's, kind of bolted to the wall behind us, despite us having all of our attention on the dominion and where we want to move forward here in the coming year, and perhaps even for the next 20 years or so. So this is asking us to wrap up some things. So if there's things that you need to take care of, maybe it's your taxes, maybe it's some kind of paperwork or some situation that in your life that you feel like is pulling your attention backwards. This is a call for us to wrap that up so that we have our full energy to move forward. Now, the challenge that we're facing for this week is the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant is a major arcana. Whenever a major arcana steps into our readings, we have some kind of life lesson that we're having to look at. The Hierophant is a card of a teacher or some kind of secret being revealed from the spiritual realm. It's governed by the sign of Taurus. Now, right now, we have two pretty big dogs up in Taurus. We have Uranus, which is at, I believe, 18 degrees right now. And we have Jupiter at 7 degrees, both in Taurus. So if you have, any planets in the opposite degree of Scorpio at 18 degrees or 7 degrees, or even in that square relationship with Leo and Aquarius, because those are the fixed signs, you're going to be feeling this energetic, which is really calling to big change and some sense of help through the circumstances that are going on around you. Of course, this is going to be largely dependent on what planets you have in different placements in your chart and whether or not they're being triggered. But ultimately, we're all experiencing this energy of change in the areas of Taurus in our lives as well. And when we consider that Taurus energy of, Jupiter being at 7 degrees, and then, as I just mentioned, Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Even though Pluto is a really slow moving planet, it's in a close to square relationship with that Jupiter energy right now. So consider that the changes that are going on in your life are actually bringing about some kind of help. And our challenge is in being able to see what is being revealed through that. Now, the way through the challenge is another major arcana. We have the Cosmos card. This is a card of completion and looking at things in a bigger point of view. The Cosmos card is also called the World in other traditional decks. I called it the Cosmos card in my deck because Saturn governs the cosmos, and this card is referring to Saturn, which is the ruler of time itself. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, of clarity, of recalibrating ourselves and figuring out what we need to have responsibility toward. And responsibility actually means responding to a sense of self. So this is what is going to carry us through this. Like, we have to look at what aspects in our lives we really want to level up on. And when we look at Saturn right now, it is actually in a sextile relationship with Jupiter, and it's helping in some ways, asking us to really have a bigger picture in our lives and what we want to move toward and what we need to have some sense of responsibility about by way of our behaviors, and wherever Pisces sits in your chart, because that's where Saturn is right now. Saturn is at 6 degrees of Pisces, and when we consider the energetic of Pisces, which can kind of have the energy of escapism, and also, intuition, but that realm that's kind of undefined, Saturn is bringing a seriousness to that place. So if you have planets in the very beginning degrees of Pisces, you are being heavily influenced by Saturn, which is kind of showing you where you need to take some responsibility in the world and in your own life. Now, the ultimate outcome, we got a couple more major arcanas. We have the Empress, which is the mother of the tarot deck. She's also the one who tells us that we are going through a doorway of sorts, and what's on the other side is something that we have yet to experience, but it depends on what we nurture and value and put energy toward in our lives. Empress also refers to Venus, which is right now in the sign of Capricorn. It's just a few degrees away from Mars. And so when we consider the energetic of Capricorn, which is like our life path, and more obviously wherever Capricorn is sitting in your natal chart, Venus is bringing her energy of development there and showing you that there is a doorway that is being opened in that space of your life. Now, that is followed by the Sun, which is another major arcana. This is the most beneficial card in the whole tarot deck of 78 cards. And, considering we have a few major arcanas in just this 7-card spread, there is some serious life work going on right now for all of us in some way, shape, or form. Now, the Sun right now is around the middle of Aquarius by way of the tropical system. And so we have this light that's being shown in a lot of ways that's guiding the path of the transformation. We're being able to see it. There's light being cast on it right now. Now, for me personally, just as an example, I have Aquarius in my 6th house. So because we have the Sun sitting here right now and Pluto is just at the beginning degrees of Aquarius, it's like I'm taking a closer viewpoint of my day-to-day routine and my day-to-day ways of managing my health and what I need to change and what I need to transform in that area and where I want to put my energy and dedication toward. Now, wherever you have Aquarius in your chart, whether it's in your 1st house, which is your sense of self and your physical body and how you are motivated. You might be motivated differently. You might be having something stir within you that's making you engage in life differently. Or the second house, which is how you earn your income. Maybe you're getting a bigger perspective around, long range views of where you want to put your energy and effort on a daily basis as far as, your resources are concerned. Or if it's the third house, which would be your relationships with your siblings, as well as your close community and your neighborhood, and certain, learning ventures. Each one of these houses represents a different area of your life. And so, of course, if you'd like to take a closer look at that, you are always welcome to reach out to me, and you can get a reading from me if you reach out to me at rootsofalchemy@gmail.com. Now, the sun is followed by two cards that are minor arcana in our reading this week. One of them is the Nine of Wands, which is reminding us to learn from past mistakes, learn from where we've put our will in the past, and also which places we are feeling a sense of completion around, like where we no longer want to put our efforts. Maybe they haven't given us much fruit for our labor, so to speak. And then the last card, which is the Six of Pentacles, which is also about where we put our energy and our resources. And while, the coins or the pentacles do have some kind of relationship with our finances, because it is a coin after all, it's also referring to other things that we value. And ultimately, the biggest resource that we have is time. And we see someone who is having some kind of judiciousness around where they put their resources, and that includes where they put their time. Now, one aspect of this card which I want to draw to our attention is that there's three figures in this card. And whenever there's a three in any card, it brings up this balance between the active, the passive, and the neutral energies within our own being. And we see that this person who is standing up has a scale in their hand, and they are, distributing these coins to these two people that are kneeling beneath them. And one way to look at this is, someone who's actually having judiciousness around their resources and where they put their resources and who they give their resources to. Another way of looking at this, which is a little bit more esoteric, is that which parts of our being do we want to give our energy and effort toward? Do we want to give it toward, the wolf or the sheep? Do we continue to give our energy and effort toward the aspects of ourself that we actually that don't serve our development, to our own saboteurs per se? Or do we give our energy and effort toward the aspect of ourself that is leaning more toward growth and self-observation and responsibility? So we all have these different facets of our being that get engaged and get called into situations. And depending on the situations that we're in, it's like each of these aspects of our being is being fed. And depending on which situations we're in, those parts of ourselves that we're feeding may or may not be in our best interest overall. And so this is asking us to have some judiciousness around the parts and facets of our being that we give energy and effort to, and the environment that we put ourselves in, because that ultimately is going to allow for different aspects of our growth. So for instance, if we look at this in an example of like an animal, right? Or like a dog, like I rescued my dog Yoda from an animal rescue. And if he was in an environment where he was, kicked or he was abused in some way, he's going to develop a defense system that's going to be really strong in him, because he will have been in a space of having to defend himself while he was very vulnerable, versus if he was, if he was like dropped off, but he was initially in a loving home, he would have different parts of his character that will have been developed based on the environment that he's in. Now, dogs don't always get to choose the environment that they're in, right? But as people with two legs and a heart as a compass and a mind that can make decisions. We get to choose what environments we want to place ourselves in. And I believe this card is telling us to be more judicious around ourselves in that way. And it will help us to have responsibility in our lives and really help us to steer our own ship rather than being thrown into the rocks by the storm. So that is our AstroTarot for this week. I send a good wish to you. I hope you're well, and I hope you enjoy a nice weekend. Bye for now. Mwah.